In today's video I will talk about 5 things that you need to know about this camera before you buy it. So let's start with number 1. On my first video about this camera I got some comments about the microphone. So I want to clarify some things about the microphone on the Vixia before you buy that camera. So to use an external microphone with the Vixia you need to have 3.5mm jack, and it needs to be self-powered because the camera won't power the microphone itself. And how to record good sound on the Legria, I use my phone. I actually use it right now with the Boya mic. I use an app to record my sound, then I merge this file with the video file in the post-production. So that's an option if you don't use the Vixia camera. So moving over to number 2. The USB port is only used for file transfer. You cannot use an external monitor that you can usually do on a DSLR or mirrorless camera. You cannot plug in a microphone that's powered with USB through this USB port on the camera. It will not work. I have tried, believe me. So you're stuck with the screen that you have, or you can use an HDMI monitor that will work. But the USB port on this camera is only for file transfer. So coming up is number 3. And do not forget to smash the thumb button or subscribe if you get something out of these videos. It will help me tremendous. And the number 3 is no surprise. You cannot change the aperture or the shutter speed on this camera. Neither on the Legria, neither on the Vixia. And that's a bummer, but you can't expect anything else with this camera because the price tag is only 200 bucks, so yeah. On the other hand, you have presets options on this camera that will kinda lock these 2 features and some other features so it will suit the scene that you will shoot. In the scene mode you have a setting that's called Sport. If you want a high shutter speed so you get a really crisp and clear image with no motion blur. And of course you want 60 FPS, and that will do excellent for fast moving objects or sports. The best thing with this camera is to play around with it and just learn how it works. Moving on to number 4. You really need good light with this camera or you will introduce some grain, and if you have looked on some of my videos you probably see it in the background because I do not have sufficient lighting. Outside this camera will do wonder, but inside it's a little trickier. And for right now on this shot I have the background kinda lit with some lights, and I have right here a main light or a key light if you will, with 4 bulbs outputting 4000 luminum, and I'm 1 meter from it. And you can probably even see some grains in the background if you really look, or maybe not on YouTube because of the compression. But believe me, there will be noise if you do not lit the scene properly. So moving on to the last thing that you need to know before you buy this camera, and this is number 5. This one is a quite interesting one. I do not believe anyone else have talked about it. And if you have this camera, test it out. Go into a dark room, turn on auto, do some recording, do the exact same thing with another setting, like the P mode. And you will see more grain in the P mode than in auto. And this is because in the specs, you can get down to 0.4 lux in the auto settings, but you can only go down to 5, I believe, in P mode. It doesn't sound like much, but believe me, it's a huge difference. So that's why I always shoot in auto when I'm indoor, because it's gonna give the best picture quality. It comes with the trade-off, and that's the exposure and white balance is on auto, so it can shift, and that's quite annoying, especially when you're doing matched scenes in post-production or something with color grading. But at the end of the day it boils down to get knowing your equipment so you can get the most and the best out of the equipment you have. because this camera is a $200 camera, so the expectations need to be real. But if you're comparing the hassle, as I said in my earlier video, I'm using this camera because it's much easier for me to produce these videos. I can just press record, sit down and talk about what I want to talk about. When I had my cell phone, the app constantly crashed, the phone always get hot, so sometimes you lost the footage because the camera app was crashing and you didn't know because, yeah, you didn't see the screen. So let's wrap up this video. Please do comment down below, tell me what you think about this camera. What do you do with this camera to get the most out of it? So if you get some value out of these videos, press the thumb button and do not forget to subscribe and press the notification so you don't miss out when I release new videos. And with that said, thank you for watching and I see you in the next one.